Thank you.
Awesome. How are you?
Great.
All
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Yes. So happy to have you in our podcast. Now, Impact Tech Studio is on a purpose of finding innovative solutions out of India and beyond, which are majorly about sustainability and majorly all the UN SDGs. So we find startups here and spread it in our ecosystem about information about what they're doing, what they're looking for, what is happening in their life, just to give some other startups also some inspiration to move in the right directions of creating something meaningful instead of just making for the sake of making. Right. So, in that endeavor, Impact Tech Studio has invited you, Antara Bhargava, who represents Dharti brand under Dhrunik Solutions Private Limited, a Bangalore based venture transforming tire tube waste from India's 275,000 daily discards into premium bags and leather like vegan products like sports gear and luggage and home decor as well. So, not to talk too much about it, so that she also has a way of sharing what she defines her business as. So, leaving the stage for Antara. Antara, please tell us about your startup and tell us what Dharti represents and why was it made? What is the story behind Dharti?
Thank you so much, Arjun, for inviting me firstly. And what a great idea to showcase the work being done on the ground, because there is genuinely so much amazing work happening in our country. And some of it in terms of bringing back traditional ideologies, and some of it genuinely innovative. And I'm very proud that I get to represent the work that has been done over a decade in training and repurposing leather artisans to work with a very difficult but very durable material, which is the inner tube of tires, which is different from tires. It's the tire tube essentially.
Right.
And as you rightly pointed out, over 2.5 lakh tires are sent to landfill every single day. In fact, BBC did a documentary on that last year.
Right.
And as we know, very little of this landfill waste is still getting recycled or repurposed. So a lot of it does get burnt or, just left to decompose. Now, the unique thing about tire tube is that it takes hundreds of years to decompose. And because of that, it just keeps piling up, right? Now, by making it into a leather like product, but it's actually more superior to leather because it's waterproof and it lasts for so long. Plus, you're obviously, not causing anybody any harm by doing it. And in fact, you're continuing the shelf life of an already extremely durable material. um, I think the beauty of what we do comes from the fact that one, we have very trained artisans, highly trained artisans, and the other is we are led by a creative director who has trained in design in Milan and Italy. So what often happens with sustainable products is they are marketed or positioned as something you buy because you want to do good for the planet or you're feeling guilty for consuming so much. That's not the ideology behind Dharti. And obviously the name is Dharti, meaning our focus is कि धरती का बोझ कम करना है हमको,
Right.
right? Together.
Right.
But the ideology is that you can't change consumer psychology. As human beings, we're all designed to be joyful. We want to have something better in our lives, live the aspirational life. So we craft with style and originality in mind. Sustainability is there, it's in the ethos, it's intrinsic to the material and the way that we handcraft our products. But the design is very classic, it's extremely relevant for the modern lifestyle. It's a global design language. Every product is designed to be multifunctional, so you use it in different ways in your, normal life, and it's designed to be stylish. So something that you will, enjoy carrying with you and be proud of carrying with you. That's the ethos of what we're doing. And we have an entire range. We're still experimenting every day, but basically trying to disrupt whatever leather can do. So we have bags and accessories, we have luggage. I believe we have the world's first tube rubber suitcase. We have sports gear from pickleball to golf. We have employee and student kits, all the way from aprons to and yoga mat holders to your folders, etc. And then we have utilitarian products like beautiful bins, footrest, mats, coasters, things like that. So that's the range, that's what we represent, and that's what we're trying to do.
Amazing, amazing. Great to hear that somebody has taken up fashion and combined it with the circular economy that tire ecosystem has, right? So there are a lot of startups which are looking at circular economy in the fabric space itself, but you have taken an innovative approach to move towards you are disrupting two industries and creating a circular economy in two industries, which is one is the vehicle industry as well as the fashion industry. So that's an amazing cross pollination of an idea. That raises my question to the point where what is the kind of value chain that you have currently? So, what is the upstream of that value chain and what is the downstream of that value chain currently? How are you structuring your value chain? If I'm able to make you understand that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think let's go the easy one first is downstream. I think we have
Hmm.
all waste, right? Is either pre-consumer waste or post-consumer waste,
Right.
right? We can work with both. We can work with the top tube rubber manufacturers.
Right.
We are very committed to the UN Sustainability Development Goals, so we also don't create a whole lot of products that can't be used and just keep stock there,
Hmm.
right? So we produce on demand. And that is why I think it's very important on the upstream, on the value chain on the other side. Our first focus is impact creation. So we've not launched a fashion brand D2C. We have created a range of products that are very suitable for B2B, which means corporate gifting, where there's so much demand now for sustainable products, and where there are already established players we would love to work with who are already empaneled with the larger companies or who really understand their market. And we have products that can be used all the way from corporate gifting to wedding gifting. And people should just call and find out what we can do. And the beauty of having an in house design team is every single product is customizable and personalizable. When I say customizable, obviously you can put your logos on it, but we see tube rubber is always black. So we pair the tube rubber with textiles, which are from scrap themselves, which are either denim or canvas or another very unique material, which I can talk about later, called cache. So that gives you infinite color and design and texture options. So upstream, we have that to bring to the table, and B2B, from corporate gifting to large companies that already have a sustainability agenda or a sustainability mandate because they are, falling within the reporting requirements. Sports associations, events that are now trying to become net zero. There's a lot of talk about green campuses. So bins and mats and other admin products for heads of procurement for green campuses. So the entire range of B2B, including, for example, hospitality. We have a wonderful little boutique hotel in Coop that's using our bins. Things like that is where we can really shine and deliver value.
Hmm. So I wanted to throw some light on how this interview will be. So let's also throw some light on that as well. What I wanted to say to you is that we should keep this as a normal conversation, right? And maybe this conversation might become something of a very formal kind of a way. I don't think so. It should go that way. We should always have some questions that will be like the questions I think my founder's office sent you. Those questions are basically the framework of things, right? I would love to just take this conversation the way we had the first conversation before, and would love to ask you through the framework of things that we can just go into the natural way of answering, and I will also give you the questions which are naturally coming after your answers are happening, right? And overall you will see that all the framework questions will be covered, right, on its own. So I would love to see.
Works with me. I won't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not that prepared either. Like I
So
have
that's good.
everything
That's
packed, but
actually good because
I'm
we
very
are the
passionate.
creator of your product. So honesty and most of that trust comes from the place where we are having a conversation and we are able to reach the depths of your business. right? So,
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
looking at the demand side, right? So, from the demand side, you've told me that you are looking at corporate gifting, basically one-time sales at large quantities, and MOQs, which are majorly at scale for you. This is what you're looking for in the downstream side of things,
Right.
which is selling to the audience, right?
Right.
Now,
Right.
looking at that, showing some understanding on that, do you have also an understanding where you are looking at not only one time large SKUs, but a continuous demand as well? So, if you are thinking of creating something of a continuous demand for your product where you don't have to market, the consumer comes to you. Is there a way of any roadmaps in your mind about your that side of the product as well? So basically, what happens is I am a big proponent of Indian brands picking themselves up. Companies like Jaipur Watch Company, companies like others, which are now picking up the Indian brand from India for the world, and they are very distinguished from the world, right? It is an amazing positioning for him, and everyone just appreciates, and he's become a has a fan following now across India and beyond as well. So, because all the buyers become their sellers as well, so they become brand ambassadors. So, is there a roadmap for you to become a brand as well, which can also give you? So, there are two types of venues, right? One is that you go in, get a large SKU order, and then you deliver it. And then there is another model where you can create a continuous demand by building a brand of your own. Are you having that vision, even if you've not achieved it or you've not gone into that direction? Do you have a vision of creating that as well?
So it's a great question because there are two aspects to that question.
Yes.
One is, I think, in terms of a continuous demand
Yes.
and having a particular, say, a flagship or a hero range of products for which there is ongoing natural demand. My first preference, only in terms of timeline, would be to um, provide our products at sale to B2B to C players like
Right.
IKEA, Walmart, and Target
Right.
for products like the bins and the footrests and the tissue boxes and the mats, etc.
Right. Right. Right.
Why? Because that gives you continuous demand. IKEA, I believe,
Mm.
alone sells six and a half million bins a year.
Right.
IKEA alone,
Right.
right? And they are a
Right.
great company that always
Amazing.
has a domestic uh, procurement target. So that's one aspect. But like you said, if you are able to create, see, it's not just, oh, I'm doing something innovative with tube rubber, and therefore there are bags and accessories that kind of look like leather. Therefore, it's a great story. No, you have to, with B2C, you have to really capture the imagination of the consumer. You have to deliver
Correct.
a different kind of value,
Correct.
one that excites them, so
Right.
that you're not just building
Mm.
I don't want to name names, but just another throwaway product because you have your own,
Correct.
um, production responsibility to landfill, right? So you want to
Correct.
create something that is going to become a legacy product with tube rubber because
Mm.
it lasts so many
Mm.
years. So we
Mm.
are working on some very innovative products,
Mm.
which are very high value, very beautifully crafted, and we're pushing the boundaries of what is possible
Right.
with not only tube rubber but complementary products. And there is one product that is not ready for market yet, as in we are not showcasing it to our customers yet. But I will share it with you. I'll give you a sneak preview, a verbal sneak preview.
Yes.
It is this gorgeous chess set.
Okay.
Now, the mat chess
Mm.
set, the base is made of tube rubber and the
Mm.
box is made of tube rubber and textile.
Mm.
But the pieces that our creative team has made, and our creative director is a genius. Okay, I call him the Alexander McQueen of India, but he's really something to be experienced. The
Mm.
pieces are made out of nuts and bolts from waste, and they are
Interesting.
gorgeous. I'll send you a
Mm.
photograph.
Mm.
Okay, and he the way the design value in putting them together to make them look like the king looking like the king, and the queen looking like the queen, and the bishop looking like the bishop. I hope I'm using the right chess words, but don't no nobody kill me if I've used the wrong word. But the beauty of that product is it when you hold the box, it is
Mm.
super heavy, and you're literally holding the quantum of waste you're removing from landfill, which is so exciting in itself. But it's beautifully made, beautifully constructed. Each piece is a statement piece, whether you're showcasing it and using it at home, or it's on like a display in one of these tech companies, right? It's a talking point, and one that's going to create conversations for the design itself and then for the material,
Right.
right? So I I want us to create products from India that people will talk about for generations. You know, like the Hermes bag is iconic. I
Right.
want us to create iconic things. And Jaipur Watch Company is a great example. I love their products. What they've done in a crowded market, which is the watch market, and still built an identity. That's what I would love to do. And we're working on products like that. But having said that, because we have an innovation in a material, um, and we can't give you the material. We have to work and give you a product from that material and keep that material in circulation for as long as it possibly can, rather than clogging up landfills and clogging up our lungs with the burning.
Amazing, amazing. So your B2B to C is a responsibility and the focus right now, and it's an amazing focus, I believe. That's how it should be at this moment, and it should grow towards a model where you get a lot of feedback, and one day you can always move towards of your own brand whenever it comes up. Right now, the major focus is obviously to create products for other brands which can also be integrated into their value chain as well. So, if I were to innovatively think, it is a B2C brand which is asking you for an inclusion in their products to be your product to enter as the
We're
UNSDG
happy to
can
white
use them.
label,
Yes.
Arjun.
Yes, and which is amazing. So a white labeled thing is amazing to
Yeah,
work on,
we're happy to white label on the
which is
classics.
amazing. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
And you
And,
can,
listen,
yeah, sorry.
you're a businessman,
Yeah,
you're an entrepreneur,
yeah,
you're an impact change maker. You know that nothing makes sense unless there's scale and there's profit, right?
correct.
And as a qualified chartered accountant,
Yeah,
I have to do my training some justice. And cash flow positivity is so important. What B2B gives you is the leeway to take hard earned investor money and deliver results, while B2C is a high risk, high value proposition. I would like to do both, but my business sense tells me let's go B2B first.
yes, and obviously it also gives the clarity to the investor as well, in the sense that he can just say that, okay, if I have the capability of having a B2B integration with this person while I'm investing in them, it is a very good model of just getting them into their consumer brands and getting you as the sustainability partner for them to get into a line of whatever thought they have in their brand to go SDG driven, right? So they could drive their brands that way as well. Because obviously, I believe in the next 2 to 3 years, you'll see a massive demand for products which are sustainability driven, because luxury is also being defined in the market as sustainable products which are close to your heart, right? So that is kind of the expression I am getting from the industry. So that's amazing to align with the value chain. So you also become that provider of that. I believe that's a good product. Now, looking forward to the next question, want to know about the co-founder and the creative director. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I just want to clarify one thing, because you mentioned a very interesting word. You mentioned the word luxury, and I'm taking the liberty of speaking up because you said, you do want that conversational element to the podcast. So
Yeah.
I think I was in one of the malls in Bangalore recently, and there was a particular brand which would be considered a high street brand. So it would
Right.
be for the middle class and upper
Hmm.
middle class. It wouldn't necessarily be for the uber high end people, right?
Hmm.
And there were a whole range of black bags. Like black is such a classic color,
Right.
and the price point was ranging between 1,500 rupees to 2,000 rupees,
Right.
right?
Right.
And because obviously we're so interested in this space. Wherever I go, I'm constantly checking out the designs, and I'm very comfortable saying that there are two sides of potential that I'm seeing now. One is adding the sustainability quotient with products that complement your product range. Like for example, the automotive sector, right?
Right.
Whether you're a tire manufacturer or you're a car manufacturer or an EV manufacturer, because EV
Right.
obviously directly the concepts around sustainability. We can produce goods that help you merchandise your
Correct.
or bikers. Bikers
Understood.
love
Yes.
anything to do with tires, right? They're the best customers. But we can produce merchandising that is sustainable. It fulfills your carbon credit goals, as well as giving you stylish accessories. And that is huge scale that is being made at the moment, right? So that's a massive market in itself. And the third is if you look at brands like your Bata and your Liberty and your shoes, right? Most of these brands, from a product perspective, are very complementary to bags and accessories and belts and all are standard to have there.
Correct.
So we
Correct.
can definitely add a line which is at their price point, but also is sustainable. So all of these three verticals we are seeing now.
Right. Amazing. Amazing. So tell us about your co-founder, creative director. What is his experience? What is the background? And how does he add value to Dharti?
Sobil Vakharia is a name that everybody needs to know and remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Number one, he is trained in fashion from Milan, which is the home of design globally in Italy. He spent a decade and a half working in the factory in the industrial settings in India. So he knows how to make quality at scale. He knows how to work with the grassroots workers. He knows how to train them and make sure there's no, last mile execution is such a challenge in our country. So having somebody who can take a global vision and aesthetic and translate it to the finished product with zero compromise on quality is amazing. Then it really helps that I've known the man for 25 years. He's my, like they say, brother from another mother. Okay. And he's happens to be a Jain, a practicing Jain. So his natural passion for vegan, cruelty free, doing no harm, ahimsa shines. He's so passionate about what he's doing. He's so joyful creating. He creates at least 3 new products on his own every week. You know, our R&D plan goes out of the window every time he comes up with something new that we never thought is possible. The way he's done weaves with tube, for example, you have to see some of what he's pushing the boundaries on, and all of this is handcrafted. We don't have access yet to some of the machines that we would like to experiment with in this industry, and we'd love to do that with the right strategic partners and investors. But pushing the boundaries of what is possible with handcraft, um, genuinely, by the way, personality wise, he's like hip hop artist meets runner. Okay,
Okay.
fitness enthusiast. So he's one of the most eccentric geniuses you will find. We are very privileged to have him as part of the core team. Absolutely love working with him. Um, like anybody who's a genius, there is no compromising on quality, which is very challenging in India. But I absolutely respect and adore that.
Yes, that's it. So now let's move to the next step. So you had Bhumiverse. Another word in the game was Bhumiverse. So please give us some more introduction into this sustainability supermarket. And how does curating 50 plus brands in Indranagar complement Dharti's upcycling innovation? So give us some understanding of Bhumiverse and what is that? Yeah.
So actually, it's a flip. Dharti came later. What
Okay.
happened with me was I worked for a decade in healthcare in a category defining space, non-communicable diseaseability in the world. When I mean non-communicable diseases, I mean everything that's not infection related. COVID barring, which was a massive shock to our systems, stroke, obesity, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, cardiovascular, issues. All of these are quality of life after the first intervention. They impact your quality of life hugely. right? And the whole space of providing multidisciplinary care in this space was pioneered by the company that I was hired to head for a decade. And we
Right.
gave the founders an exit. We merged with another company called HCH that's funded by Quadria and ABC World and promoted by the Berman family of Dava Flame. Now, it was during my time working in quality of life and seeing the non communicable disease incidence, especially in our country, like 1.8 million strokes, 300,000 new cancer cases every year. I was like, listen, we can keep putting money into healthcare services. We can talk about health tech. We can do genome mapping. We can do all of that. But end of the day, unless you fix pollution in air, water, soil, you're absorbing and consuming so much toxic and stuff that you have no hope of getting healthy as a
Right.
population. So
Right.
basically, you'll keep paying for healthcare, but you're never actually going to fix the problem. So the idea of creating a one-stop shop where everything that you consume, and in our shastras, it is roti, kapda, makan, and dhyan. Dhyan meaning what the mind consumes,
Right.
everything under one roof, which is good for the planet, good for health, and the two are completely interlinked,
Right.
just felt like a very logical uh, answer after nearly a decade of watching people suffer, right? And I'm somebody who can't sit with the problem. I need a solution. And this came to me as a solution. And I remember hearing Ramji Raghavan of Agastya Foundation say to me, not to me, he was speaking to the crowd, but I felt like he's speaking to me, once say that, the greatest ideas that change the mind, that change the world come like an aha moment in the mind. They're
Right.
very simple, right?
Right.
So this
Right.
idea came to me as a very simple solution. Ki, boss, why don't we have everything that we need in one place? And because a lot of these are innovative, you need to be able to touch and feel them. So they need to be physical first. The digital can
Right.
come later.
Right.
Number one. Number two, it needs to be in every community. Like you have these food shops, you have kinara dukans, you have these nowadays, wasteful clothes ka dukan in every street corner, and I'm
Right.
not mentioning brand names, but they're basically mass production vehicles.
Hmm.
Why can't we have one space dedicated for everything that is good for planet and health, that gives you everything: clean skincare, bioenzyme based home detergents, your socks to your shirts to your, whatever you want to wear normally. That on one side. So, furniture, furniture from upcycled materials, furniture from,
Hmm.
old furniture. That on one side, plus the circular economy, new ideas which are getting rebirthed, which is pre loved, thrift
Hmm.
shopping, collection centers for waste, which can easily go into the partnership model with whether it's e-waste or glass bottles, and finally run repair cafes because the art of repairing is dying, right?
Hmm.
So increase the longevity of what you already have and probably love, right?
Right.
So the idea of merging this under one roof felt very logical, very simple, and very scalable. And so we went live with that in August of last year. It's barely about 6 months old. And called it Bhumiverse because it's another Bhumi and Dharti are like,
Right.
Mother Earth only. And
Right.
the idea being that this is an alternative universe, but it's the universe in which we should have been living all together, where from day one, where we are interacting seamlessly, synergistically with Bhumi, with Mother Earth.
Right.
Rather than trying to fly to Mars and Moon,
Right.
let's preserve our own mother properly,
Right.
right? By
Right.
engaging with her the way we should, in a respectful manner. And it's genuinely a dream come true to watch it come alive. I would love for anybody to visit Bhumiverse in Indranagar. It's the flagship. It's the proof of concept. It shows you that the sustainable life can be a beautiful aspirational life, and
Amazing.
we've made it convenient and joyful for you to buy everything you need for your house in one place. We're still working on it. There are some
Amazing.
categories still we are working on. And it's not
Amazing.
unaffordable, before you ask that question, Arjun.
Yeah. So the happiness is that you've also looked at retail, which is, if you look at it, defining it in the traditional sense of the word, you have looked at sustainability to come to the point of retail as well, and you want to build an ecosystem where people can come in and experience it physically. And that's an amazing part. And I think there is a opportunity in it if it is packaged really well, right? So it is amazing to see that somebody is building a marketplace as well as building a product that can align with the value chain of B2B2C. So that's amazing to know now. Now there is a connection happening in your brand that is showing us that okay, there are parts of the product which complement each other in the value chain, which is amazing. Now let's look at. Please go ahead.
You've actually said something which I had not articulated right now. See, if we had to promote tube rubber as an innovative material in Dharti, right? If I tell you I am making beautiful products out of tube rubber that looks like leather, why will you believe me? You will want to see it,
Right.
right? You will want to
Correct.
feel it.
Correct.
And in fact, out of the thousands of people we have shown our product to, nobody other than one person, not even the leather artisans, have guessed that it is not leather till now. But because they have seen it, so I would have had to set up a shop anyway, or I would have had to set up some sort of outlet to get people to experience the product anyway. Now, if you see in sustainability, we have a unique problem. In sustainability, anybody who's doing something genuine, if they want to scale, they have to either set up their own retail, or if they go to a marketplace, a standard marketplace, they are judged on price and quality and other things with unsustainable products, which most of them cannot match. And
Right.
therefore, they are unable to scale. And that is why the rate of failure in sustainability is higher. So,
Right.
by both for my own
Mhm.
operational GPM efficiency and to create a larger impact and value in the ecosystem, having a curated marketplace, physical first, fulfills so many different goals and
Mhm.
creates so much efficiency and synergy in the system,
Mm.
right? Because now we can all grow together. And one of the SDGs, the most important SDGs, are collaboration. Even the UN Secretary General has said that, and sustainable communities
Right.
that we are tackling through the space.
So there is one more thing. So let's little bit go into a new direction, which you have already we've researched about you. Is there is one connection of the whole story with Wow Kitty Trust funded 450 plus rural women and microfinance given to rural women. Now this story, how does it connect to the job creation and livelihood creation by Dharti? So let's go back to a little bit of understanding of that. What is Wow Kitty Trust, and how are you aligned, and how is Dharti adding these values to its own product and people who are working with them? What is that value that you create?
Okay, so this is very interesting
Yeah.
to me because my life is so interesting to me. But when I moved back from, like any good Indian child, I was just climbing the corporate ladder. At the age of 30, I was already a CXO and I was earning a very decent wage and just climbing, no working 18, 20 hours a day and just climbing.
Right.
Very shortly after I moved back, I had a cancer scare. Luckily, turned out not to be cancer, but it gave me a real shock. And I wanted to make wanted to make meaning from that. I didn't want that to be just an incident that happened and you gallivanted back. I wanted that to be a turning point in my life. I felt like it had to mean something.
Hmm.
So I did a lot of soul searching and realized that what makes me most joyful, and it's a funny thing to come to that realization in your 30s when you're already a CXO, but what makes me most joyful is working in social impact. And I did a lot of volunteering and this is in 2012, so a little early for that whole impact investments and impact ventures space in India.
Right.
And I was also new back, so all the people who were doing good work, I didn't know them. I did a certified independent director with the Institute of Directors in India. And as part of that course, I had to do a thesis. And this is just when the new Companies Act had come in.
Right.
So this, women gender diversity on corporate boards had come in. So I did my thesis on that, and I discovered to my shock that one of the reasons why gender diversity is not happening is because there is a category called personal bias where women are conditioned to compete with women. Now, that I said I'm not going to allow. So I started seeking out and changing my own behavior and biases. And as a result, I questioned one of the most fundamental things that we as women of substance or working women learn in India. We've all grown up with kitty parties. But we've all grown up saying kitty parties are useless. That's where women go, it's all superficial, wasting husband's money, you know. But then I began to question we never say that about men. When men get together and have fun, they're just having fun. We're not
Right.
looking down on them.
Right.
Why
Right.
are we looking down on other women
Hmm.
having fun or being
Right.
joyful? And I researched and I found that there are thousands of kitty parties in the country. And I decided to use the existing model of sisterhood and convert it into a social impact vehicle. That
Right.
idea just came to me. I started it, and I was blessed to have amazing women who adopted this idea. Dr. Jija Hari Singh, the first female IPS officer from Karnataka, Shoma Bakri, a serial entrepreneur and philanthropist, Reshma Swani, who's amazing entrepreneur herself, uh, Kavita Mehra, lots of different amazing women who came together and said, right. And today we are actually a registered charitable trust that needs like different kitty party chapters, puts only 1,000 rupees of donation into this trust, and we make 0% interest loans, business loans
Hmm.
to rural or underprivileged women for their business ideas. And we do this completely audited through NBFCs like Rande. So we don't have to do anything. We just find the women, we fund it. And it's actually more than 4,000 women, not 400 women, that in 11 years we have funded. So it's a
Right.
huge number for a group of just women with 1,000 rupees. Not even your coffee and croissant will come in that, right?
Hmm.
So that movement, 11 years later, 70 women, two chapters here, but we've inspired chapters in Pune, in Hyderabad, in Kochi, in Calcutta, in Boston, all over the world. And they're not formally part of us, but the women who are part of us are all residing in Bangalore. And they're incredible women. But as a result, number one, we got connected to so many NGOs, self-help groups, rural, people working on the ground. We got such an understanding of the real changes that grassroots changes that are being made because of who we were funding, but also because every meeting that we have is a very formal meeting, Arjun. We start by inviting a speaker who has somehow changing the world. We've had water conservation activists. We've had women like Pallavi Ghosh who've recently been felicitated for the work they've done in helping trafficked women and children. We've had Nalini from Hasrudullah. We've had incredible speakers, hundreds of speakers over the years, right? And we've learned. And through that, we've built a network of understanding who's genuinely doing work. So when it comes to curating products, services, brands, and saying they are authentically sustainable, we have such a vast pedigree of 11 years and networks of to make sure that we are bringing that together under Bhumiverse. And with Dharti as well, that's how I met the people. That's how I met the original artisans and the lady who had led that initiative. Um, it's all about end of the day, all the technology and AI of the world isn't going to replace human connection, human trust,
Hmm.
right? So it's a lot of it's a decade plus of work and joy and networking that has gone into building today what Dharti and Bhumiverse are. And the Vaukiri Trust has played an amazing role in connecting the dots constantly for me as a learner and a student of this space, and now an entrepreneur in this space.
Amazing. Amazing. So,
And I'm the founder, managing trustee with that amazing people.
amazing. Amazing. So, you are having a number of hats that you wear simultaneously. So, you're a symbol on your own, right? So, moving from there. So, I have
No,
one.
please don't say
You
that.
are. You are symbolic for us. Obviously, you are symbolic. See, there are ways of focusing on one thing, and there are ways of focusing on everything and doing it with the right kind of delegation and authority defined, so that you everything just runs to become one sustainable ecosystem. And that is where your product, when I see it from an outside view, right, I see all these things combining together for you in the near future, where everything just complements each other as a whole, right? And if you're able to create some value on a daily basis, and you're able to move 1% in improvement in all of these together, you have 365 improvements, 365% improvement every year, right? So that's kind of a way of, one day you will be able to find out that these products are interacting with each other, and actually complementing with the money values, and uh, whatever extension knowledge, whatever it can give to each other, right? Which I am seeing here. So these three things I am seeing, right? Apart from that, just wanted to add to this, right? So
That's because you are kind and
you are not kind.
you are visionary.
Yeah, that
It's
is
a
true.
testament to your ability to envision that.
So which is something that can work towards a product.
It's
So
true.
yeah. So it can work towards a product if it can be combined together as a productized thing. So basically, what is productizing? So when I was working with Paytm and other places, we used to always try to make a service, test it out in the market, and then productize it. Right? What is productizing? Productizing for me is if you are not involved in running it and the system runs it, that's how everything should be taken care of in process. So we used to go to the point where we used to say, process wins over people. Make a process, let the process win. That is your task for life. If you do that, your brand will automatically come in the mind of the people, and they will remember you, that this was a brand I interacted with and it was the most seamless experience. That's how the whole concept of Paytm and its flow of what is now called the wallet, right, was when we thought that, okay, people are involved, but let's remove people, let's bring in automation for the process of it. Once that starts happening, that day, everything that you say is not only sustainable, it's a product, right? And a product which is sustainable
Right.
is the norm of the day at that moment, right? Then this is how we used to define it.
Right.
So if
Right.
if you say that sustainability is what your push is, uh, over a period of time, sustainability will be just the thing. You don't have to put effort for it because your product is that way, right? The effort does not go in
Yeah.
into that. Okay, how is sustainability being helped? So that is one thing that I really see coming up as a product for you, right? If you
And that
combine
is
these
the
three, yeah.
most important thing, Arjun,
Yeah.
because see what is happening every year, whether it's Davos or the SDG review. What are we discovering? We're discovering that we're not moving the needle
Right.
on saving the world.
Right.
Okay, we're not moving the needle.
Right.
If we have to move the needle, we can't keep patting ourselves on the back that, oh, we've done this much with this million people, oh, we've done this in this particular category. We have to compete with the normal unethical industries, whether they are in retail or in bags and accessory or
Yes.
wherever, right? Or
Yes.
food. Or
Because
see
in the
again,
mind of the
everybody
consumer.
that's not.
Yeah. So I'm getting
Yeah.
excited. No, so this
So you have
academy was visible.
So you have to make
Yeah.
ethical consumption normal,
Yes.
which means
Yes.
that the $1 trillion retail industry, digital retail industry, that is your competitor. That is your
Right.
Tam Samsung. You need to be in this $1 trillion in retail industry with a pure sustainability play. Number one.
Right.
Number two, when you talk about productizing, what is listen, we are not reinventing the wheel. Retail, FICO, FOCO, COCO, KAICO, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
already exists, and there are subject matter experts. After I have proven POC level 1, 2, whatever is required, and if we are able to find the right investors and backers, and possibly the right strategic investors who already have retail knowledge, uh, or the right talent, if we can afford it, Let them run with it. I don't have to own and manage everything. They will go and take it to 100 stores, 1,000 stores, 10,000 stores, right? It's being done all over the country. They will take the digital plan that we have, which is very exciting and not like a normal marketplace at all. And I won't disclose that here, but they can go take that to the 10 million, 20 million customers in tier 2, tier 3, and beyond as well. So, and B2B, there are people who are experts in B2B. So, the idea eventually, as I see the productization of sustainability, is number one, aggregate. Once you aggregate, you put them into the categories and let the experts take this to the next level and let that each one of these scale. Because what happened is, when we work in corporates or we work in just normal our normal working lives, we work like dogs. Okay,
Right.
first
Right.
20 years we work like dogs, then we find our passion project and suddenly it's all like, oh, पैसा होगा नहीं होगा, स्केल होता है नहीं होता है, environment का project है, let's focus and do this much. That's not going to fix the problem.
Correct.
If I'm genuinely passionate, passion means I have to be completely razor focused that Mother Earth needs to be saved. I should work 20 times harder because the problem is that acute.
Right.
You know, we are never going to run out of clothes to wear for the next 6 generations,
Right.
but we will run out of cotton clothes to wear, and polyester will take over our landfills if we don't fix it today. We
Okay.
will contaminate every drop of water in the planet if we don't switch to bioenzyme today. It's today's problem. So that urgency, passion gives you urgency, it gives you focus, and it gives you the ability to execute and quality. You won't compromise if you're passionate about something. You'll compromise if you're not passionate and you're just looking at numbers and you're playing the game. So
That is true.
I'm
That
all
is
for
true.
building a
But I would like to
sustainable.
add one more thing. As a friend, I would like to add to this because you are doing a very good job of defining how the uh, customer's problem is how does he get the experience of sustainability. That is how uh, I was looking at your point there. And I wanted to add to the point that, see, the customer has a demand, right? He has a mindscape for it, right? He wants something, right? If that space in his mind is not taken up by products designed by Dharti, right? Then it is a challenge that you have lost the battle kind of. So what you need to do is you need to get into that mindscape where they were already looking at a product and you replace that thinking. Right now, that thinking to get to that point is you need to know the consumer psyche, even if you are B2B2C. Because in the end, so for example, I'll give you an example. Volvo has, when you go for a Volvo car, right? I'm talking luxury things because obviously, in the end, if you don't make money, right, even if you do scaled up work, one of the examples is uh, if you do large format mass products, which are obviously a very good market and very good strategy, and if you do that and you are thinking of normal companies which are going into sustainability. So, for example, if your product is X price and a normal car brand tells you that their seat covers should be made by your company, right? Your material should be from this Dharti factory, right? The seats should be that way, right? Now, in that way, if you define it and there are words, so people, what do they buy actually? People don't buy uh, the product. What they buy is the story behind the product. So basically, everything that I buy is, if you say Paytm, it says made in India, made with love in India, right? These are two things that keep me on it. I don't go to another Paytm payment app. So I'm aligning with their story. So, large brands which are into mass market or in luxury always define their leather or their product in a way that is aligned to the buyer, not the B2B buyer, but the buyer, their buyer. And that is one thing that obviously these are ideas. These are ideas, and you are in the right
Yes.
direction of moving towards it. And I am loving the journey of this discussion with you. So I'm just becoming your extended team. So, going back to the interview, right?
You
So,
said, please
yeah.
join. We're a small team. You are very welcome to join. Anybody who
These are
cares
moments where we
and
could just
wants to
have
make
some
and
open
understand business.
discussions, and these could become some amazing products, right? And that is the possibility that I'm seeing with you, that
Listen,
I
we
can
already
be in
gave
those
you two
conversations.
ideas for products. We'll name it after you. The Arjun Chadda product line.
No, please
But
don't do that.
but you already but and in fact all of our so what you just said is very very cool because we hadn't planned to enter fashion at all, but we did some experiments. And I don't know if you know, but last year in December, Times of India's team just walked into our store and
Amazing.
they experienced our bags and they were like, what is it
Beautiful.
made out of? And they thought it's
Right.
going to be like some plant-based leather, right? By the way, a lot of plant-based leathers have plastic binders, so we got to watch
Right.
out for that as well. But ours, we had to put together a fashion show for Bangalore Fashion Week. It was insane, right? And
Amazing.
each of our products that are for high fashion are very different than our products for B2B. They're different in design, they're different in functionality, they're different in the level of craft that goes into it and experimentation. And therefore, the price points are also different. And they're also named individually because they follow that same ethos of like the Hermes Birkin or the Ferragamo Sofia. So we have Baksa, which was actually, very grateful. Vogue featured the
Amazing.
Baksa. We have
Beautiful.
Luna. We have
Yeah.
Muna. We have bags that are specifically high fashion. We just haven't launched that yet. And the reason we haven't launched that is see, you can always get lucky and go viral. You can have AI and go viral, or you can spend a whole lot of money and do nothing and just have that and make yourself feel good. We don't want to take that risk at this stage of the company. We're quite early stage. What we know we're good at, we're focused on that. And I think I'll give you an example that a lot of business people like to give, but I don't think everybody understands, and that is China.
Hmm. Hmm.
China does mass countries have managed to crack, but they are also the manufacturers for most of the highest end fashion products in the world, and they white label, right? And there's some controversy around that, but they do both. So why in India can we not do something where we are the innovators of the material product, the product from the material, right? Where we can also have a range that is B2B, mass market, affordable, pushing the needle, creating impact because it's saving the material from landfill. At the same time, focus on genuine couture, genuine artisanal products from the same material. And they're very different palettes, price points, storytelling. One will feed off the other eventually. But today, the focus should be there. We are thinking about that. So I totally take on
Understood.
your. We
Understood.
just
Yes,
have
yes,
to
sir.
be honest.
So these are small changes. So this is when when I come in into the understanding. Obviously, these are not changes. Basically, these are additions, but very small additions in my mind, which is not drastically changing the way you make things, but it is the just one word that you add in your pitch to the B2B, right? That one word of addition to a B2B will give you a vision of the next step, right? So that is
Yeah.
amazing to see, right? So apart from that, so now looking into this, right? So now what is your bold 3 to 5 year vision for Dhrunik, right? Some brands underneath, and what are you looking for? What is your vision for your brand in the 3 to 5 years in the next? So basically 18 months. This is kind of the cycle of an investor to hop in and put money into your business generally. So for an 18 months which are in front of you, start from there and see if you can expand it to a 3 year, and tell me what is your vision. What do you see happening for you? So
Right.
how are
So
these
I
three
think there are
brands? So
two aspects.
let me clarify this. So how are these three brands? So I see Bhumiverse, I see Dharti, and I see uh, sustainability, Wow Kitty Trust coming together. If you don't want to put it in the investor side of things, definitely take it out. Just talk about Bhumiverse and new waste streams and global ethical retail partnerships. However you're looking at it, just give me some details. What is your vision?
Sure. So the Wow Kitty Trust is a registered charity. It will remain a charity. It has its
Yes.
own agenda and
Yeah.
its own path. That is never going to be something investable, and it's something that we just hope takes on its own wings with anywhere people can do good.
Yeah.
When it comes to Drunique Solutions Private Limited, the venture that I launched, there are currently two initiatives in it. Bhumiverse, which is the sustainability physical first store,
Right.
and that has the potential to go digital. It has the potential to be a marketplace that goes comprehensively to B2B with various sustainability solutions under one cohort. And Dharti is the second initiative where our hero material is tire tube rubber, and where we pair it with textile waste to create a range of products. For Bhumiverse, my preference is to do two or three more formats of retail with this synergies to identify which is the productizable in your language version that can go to 100,000, 10,000 stores. And for that, once we compete on ROI with a standard retail multi-category, multi-brand store, with the various formats, this experimentation, I believe, would be a sensible way of doing it rather than just saying we've done one Bhumiverse, one POC, and let's go do 100 of these. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think there's a pre-series A effort to be done of experimentation, and I'd love the right investor to come along and do that with us, ideally somebody with retail experience. Right? We'll take this whole thing digital in a very unique way, and for that we need again the right investor who understands digital marketplaces, but also some the ability to execute on some of the crazy digital stuff we have planned, which is very AI centric. That's one aspect. For Dharti, I am very B2B focused. I would love any opportunities to white label, to supply to the IKEAs of the world, to supply to corporate gifting, to hospitality. Anybody who wants a leather alternative or a sustainable alternative to bags, accessories, luggage, utilitarian products, I would like to work with them and get cash flow in and create impact and save material from landfill. And if there is a strategic investor or somebody who understands D2C very strongly, but also has healthy respect for B2B, who wants to come and help us take this to the next level so we genuinely disrupt that $500 billion global leather goods market,
Right.
I'd love to work with the right people. It's not just about capital and patient capital, it's about expert capital. And I believe capital that comes with that will really accelerate our growth and help us, sort of foresee and overcome challenges. There's no reason why we can't deliver on either of those two fronts. At the right time, maybe hive them into separate companies. I'm open to that, get the right leadership in both. The objective is to create scale of impact, scale of revenue, and scale of profits. The objective is not to sit on this mound of things and say कि ये हमारा बच्चा है. No. ये हम सबका बच्चा है और इस बच्चे को बड़े होकर दुनिया को बचाना है. So that is the vision.
Right. So financially, you are moving in the right direction. Are you cash positive every month?
We are not, but we have a very limited and constrained burn, which we are managing. We are bootstrapped. We are very fortunate to have an early check from some amazing stalwarts.
Amazing.
One of whom is Richard Rekhi, who's the former CEO of KPMG India and now on the board of Grant Thornton, a visionary himself and very highly regarded in the entire business circles in India and abroad. And when people like him support you, it gives you a real shot in the arm and the confidence to go do things that you
Amazing.
think are a dream and now you can see it come true. So that's the kind of people we want to work with.
So, on this note, I personally would like to end this podcast with a small question I ask everyone, and that is, how do you define resilience? And resilience is one word that has always been my thing in my business as well. It is me redefining it every day and moving forward. We've run our businesses for the last 10 years. So I have my co-working spaces, I have my venture fund that is coming in, and then we have this Impact Tech Studio, which has given me so much of amazing knowledge, meeting guys like you who have added so much value to my thinking and the way I take a problem and solve it. So, what is resilience for you as a person? Just give us an understanding, any which way, any creative way you want to talk about resilience.
there are two things that I always Umba song. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Ain't never gonna
That's
keep me
true.
down. Don't mind
Yes,
my
ma'am.
singing. Sorry for the
Yes,
audience.
no, that's
Okay.
awesome.
But the other is but the other is legacy, in the sense that what we don't often do for ourselves, we would do for our loved ones. What we won't do for profit, we will do for impact, right?
Right.
And what really drives me, and what I think keeps me going even when things are the toughest and helps me bounce back, is that I'm saving the world for my kids, for everybody else out there. I'm doing something larger than myself. And I always remember in class 10, I think we had this poem called Asha Ka Deepak by, I think, if I'm not wrong, Ramdhari Singh Dinkar. And I think our
Amazing.
patriots and freedom fighters have left a very deep poem which says, and I hope I'm quoting it right, which says, चिंगारी बन गई लहू की बूंद गिरी जो पग से, चमक रहे पीछे मुड़ देखो चरण चिन्ह जगमग से, शुरू हुई आराध्य भूमि ये क्लांति नहीं दे रही, थक कर बैठ गए क्या भाई भाई मंजिल दूर नहीं है. And that is resilience for me, that you keep doing because you're doing for others. You don't do just and let it go when you want to. You have a larger
Amazing.
responsibility.
Amazing. So that was amazing. And that took me back to my school days as well. So, such an amazing thing. I think this is the
Nightmares.
reason. So this, no, not nightmares, but these are the kind of seeds that I never thought of. So basically, when I say that in the hindsight, when you look at your life will always be beautiful. So be prepared to just enjoy in that moment that what you did, whatever you do in life, if you are on a path of creating something amazing, wait for your hindsight to happen for you. So you will be the happiest man or the woman alive at that moment, where whenever you see a story in the back, right, historically, you will always love what you did. If you think whatever you keep on doing, so if you
Yes.
keep on doing it and look at it after a long period of time, you will love what you did, right? So doing is the purpose, right? Moving is the purpose. Amazing,
Yes.
amazing. Thank you, Antra.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so
So
much for having me. I'm so deeply appreciative of you, of this opportunity, this platform. I wish you a million followers for whatever you're doing
thank
and
you.
more people like you.
Yes, so we will be promoting you online. We will be connecting you to some ecosystems whenever we find it. You already have me as your extended team. I have been introducing my guests to a number of people, whoever I come across. So my networking becomes your extended networking, right? So it was a pleasure having you on the podcast. Pleasure. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank
You have a
you.
good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
You've been listening to Impact Tech Studio podcasts. Antara's journey shows how sustainability and design can come together to redefine the way we consume. Through Dharti, she is transforming tire tube waste into premium functional products, proving that impactful ideas can also scale across industries. If you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe on Spotify and YouTube, share it with your network, and stay tuned for more founders building meaningful impact. Until next time, keep building with purpose.